the wise Orlando.
Welcome back to Mages and Murderdads, the best show dedicated to the Baldur's Gate franchise and beyond. I'm Cameron, and I play Ticklevar the Sorcerer.
And I'm Danny, and I play Balthazar, the Barbarian.
This is episode 32, and today we're getting through the back half of Chapter 4. Danny, what happened in the last episode?
In the front half?
In the front half of Chapter 4, to keep everybody updated.
The front half of Chapter 4, that's where the plot happens. It's really where it really gets nitty-gritty. We went to go rescue our kind of step-sibling, Imoen, and in the process of doing so, we found out that our step-sibling was actually our half-sibling. Isn't that just wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a discovery. We went to a place called Spellhold, where a group called the Cowled Wizards just throws people, just renditions them forever.
Mm-hmm.
And we confronted our kidnapper and torturer, a person who will not be named in this podcast until right now. It was Irenicus. And we confronted him, and he escaped our wrath. And this episode is us trying to chase this Irenicus down.
It's true, absolutely. So that's the update on what's been happening. If you like any of that, if you like that update so far, you should hit the like button at the bottom of this this video. You can also follow us on Twitter, either on the Range Touch account, the channel account, which is down in the description, or our personal accounts. You can access either of those as well. They are all down there. You can like us on Facebook, and you can come hang out in our Discord if you want to.
Yeah, and hit the little bell on after you subscribe so that it gets to your feed. Or, and here's one thing you can do if you don't want to hit that bell, just make your homepage this video. Because what do you have as your homepage? Google. I'd hate to break it to you, but nowadays you can just search in the address bar. You don't need to make your homepage Google anymore.
Hold on now, what?
Yeah.
If you like this witty banter, you can support us on Patreon. We thankfully just hit our $200 a month goal, so this channel is self-sustaining. We can afford all of the Baldur's Gate memorabilia that we want and or need. But we want to do all kinds of other stuff too, including a podcast about tabletop stuff that we think will be really cool. So that'll happen at $400 a month of support. And just go give us like $1 or $5. We're starting a new podcast that's going to be subscribers only, and that'll be really fun and really good. We've been piling up the content for it already.
So much content.
It's going to be really good. So, Saemon Havarian.
Yeah, no, Saemon Havarian, witty banter person. I gotta say, like him significantly less after this episode.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So before you were the biggest defender of Saemon Havarian.
I was a Saemon Havarian apologist, certainly.
You really were. And now that's not really the case. But it starts out pretty okay, right? Because he says, hey, listen, meet me at the inn. We're going to get on my boat. And we're gonna go chase Irenicus down. And sure. I was like, all right. And so I met him at the inn.
Even though we're doing this definitely for metagame reasons, because we'll know we miss content, because his pitch makes no sense. Hey, get on my boat so we can sail, so maybe you can beat people that teleported to a location to the punch.
Yeah, look, I'm not judging the interior logic here. I just know the path that we are on.
Sure. The last time you judged interior logic, we went on a 10-minute argument about teleportation.
Yeah.
Into a planar sphere. And you got legitimately angry, and we almost had to stop the podcast.
We don't want Teleporter Talk 2.0. Mm-hmm. But so I go and talk to him in the inn, right? Because I'm like, let's get going. Like I'm snapping my fingers, I'm moving forward, I'm doing the thing from West Side Story. I'm ready to get on that boat and get going. And so I get to Saemon Havarian and I say, hey buddy, let's roll. And he says, now listen, I told you that I had a boat. But you know.
There's only one thing about that that's not true. Just one tiny thing.
Which part was that?
Him not having a boat.
He
That's
doesn't have a boat. At all. No boat. And so he, like, concocts this long-form plan for me.
a real Rube Goldberg-esque conspiracy.
Explain the plan.
Okay, step number 1, get a job here in Pirate Land. Work behind the counter at the Drunken Monkey, and make enough money over the course of years. You know, really watch your pennies. Don't get too crazy on the weekends. Really just put in the time and the effort. Save up. Take out a reverse mortgage your cottage, and then buy a pirate ship legit, so you can beat Irenicus after he teleported somewhere.
Yeah, so he gives us the 70-year plan.
Yeah.
Which really isn't going to work. And he says, all right, well, if that isn't going to work for you, because I say, look, I'll just go take the teleporter.
Sure.
I'll just go do that. He says, all right, well, here, we're going to steal a boat.
Okay,
Exactly. And we're going to get a thing called the Sea Horn, which is the coolest name for a thing.
Sure.
The Sea Horn is very cool. And he says, it's in the house of someone named Claire.
Yeah, the Seahorn, and I think it's in the house of someone named Claire, because Claire is the mistress of the pirate lord Desharik.
Yep.
And
Yes.
so I think one of the dialogue options is, well, hold on. I don't want to cross someone with the title Pirate Lord. That seems like an imprudent thing to do.
Yeah, and Balthazar's whole thing is prudence, right?
Just total prudence. I only said that was an option. That does not mean Balthazar said that, right? I'm just letting the audience know that that was a thing that could have been said by either of us.
That was on the table. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
But of course, I say, yeah, I'm down. Let's go get this horn. Apparently, the way this horn works is there's like gates to the harbor that are only opened once this thing is blown.
apparently, yeah.
Yeah, this despite being like a really freewheeling pirate town, there's like some very strict rules on who gets access to this place.
I mean, yeah, you gotta, to be lawless everywhere else, you have to have very strong laws at home. Pirate law.
Pirate law.
But anyway, so we go in and get it, and I gotta really, like, were you stealth or anything when you went into Claire's house?
No, of course not.
So you got this weird conversation too then, right?
Yeah, so they were kind of just doing some pillow talk when I walked in. She and her like other boyfriend, basically. Mm-hmm. And they talk about her relationship with Desharik, and she's obviously not happy in that relationship. But Desharik's like a powerful pirate lord, and Claire's just kind of doing what she's got to do to make it through the world, in a pirate town with pirate law, under pirate law. And then they notice me, and they call a bunch of pirate guards.
Yeah, and, well, they leave first too, right?
That was a simultaneous thing.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
So I think that throws some of the next stuff that happens, like, into a weird relief. Like, I want to talk about that again in just a second, but
yeah.
So Claire's there with some dude. She notices you, calls the guards. Guards show up. It's like 3 guards. I slayed them all. Mm-hmm. No problem. I steal the Sea Horn. I go talk to Seaman Havarian, and I say, listen,
he's down at the docks right next to the boat you want to steal. And the boat you want to steal is the Pirate Lord's boat.
So we go there.
Yeah, and Seaman tells us, hey, I've convinced the entire crew to back us.
And with a bribe or something, presumably. Sure. But then, like, he goes to, like, Claire is there. Mm-hmm. She's on the boat. Mm-hmm. With Seaman.
Yeah.
And then Desharik shows up, of course, because there's no way we're going to get off this island without a fight, right?
Sure.
So Desharik shows up, and he's like, I can't believe that you've been cheating on me with Saman Havarian again. And like this whole encounter is just about him, Saman Havarian, and Claire.
Which we know from the pillow talk earlier that Claire did have a relationship, a tryst of sorts with Saman Havarian. She called it a youthful indiscretion. He had words like honey, you know? Mm-hmm. And she's telling this to her current boyfriend, the person she's, I guess, cheating on with Desharik, who ostensibly Desharik's cheating on his maybe wife with her, given her title as mistress. Who knows? It's a little ambiguous. We don't know the full web of relationships here. But yeah, it is. So this opens up a bunch of questions. What exactly happened that made Desharik accuse Saman now, if this was a youthful indiscretion on the part of Claire from well before, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of subtext, but all of this leads up to... I laugh, and only because it is so profoundly absurd. Desharik just kills her.
Yeah.
Like, that is his solution to the problem, which is horrifying, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's, like, not just horrifying narratively, but horrifying that the development team was like, all right, how do we solve this? Let's have him murder her first.
Yeah, but in terms of, we need a way to instigate combat here. Like, we need like the tension to ratchet up before, so that the player, you know, feels totally justified in what they're about to do to Desharik, right? Mm-hmm. Because I guess there is this one idea of, if you are a lawful good player, how could you ever like get down with stealing this boat, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there is an idea of, we need to show how bad Desharik is, even though you've kind of gotten clues, but we need to show that, you know, stealing this boat actually is not too bad, so we need to do something. But here's the thing. I just feel like there are a billion other reasons. You don't have to.
Lord.
Yeah, you don't have to engineer it, and the Claire thing just seemed really narratively odd, right? Like, this is only a character we met a couple of minutes ago, right? And the Desharik's rationale for killing her is something she did perhaps years before we even started playing this game.
Yeah, and maybe, well, I guess two things. One, the lawful good characters out on this is just, I'll go back to the portal.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, there are multiple like safety valves for this quest if you don't want to do it. And two, I just don't understand like any of the like narrative motivation there, of like why that would be happening.
I think okay, here's a way to write it. Claire was the guardian, was kind of the she safeguarded this seahorn for whatever reason. It was in her house, right? Desharik heard the seahorn, and you could have written this to be like, Claire, you have betrayed me. You have like blown the seahorn so that my enemies could steal my boat. This is unacceptable, and I will now harm you because of it, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not what happened. And like, as it was happening, I had to scroll back up through the text and see like, wait, was that why he killed Claire? But no.
Just I don't get it. I do not get it at all. But in any case, it like starts a fight, and you got a little note here, or you had a little note that said this is a weird fight. It's very strange.
Very strange. So obviously I'm pausing. I turned auto pause off for fights. I think in Baldur's Gate you can turn it on so that every time someone's hostile around you, the game automatically pauses. Mm-hmm. I do the manual pause. I don't have that on. So the second after dialogue finishes and Desharik says, crew, you need to kill these people. And ostensibly, a lot of the crew that like Saman bribed turn hostile on this boat.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting little wrinkle of Baldur's Gate is they don't turn hostile all at once, right? Like, a lot of them have blue circles, which indicate dialogue. And when I pause, there's only, like, 2 of the pirates that are hostile, and a lot of the other ones still have the blue dialogue, right? I'm not weirded out by attacking Desharik, Like, he has obviously said his intention to kill us, and I figure Deshark must be kind of the boss enemy of this encounter. So I manually attack him, and he obviously goes hostile the moment I attack him, and I kill him. And then I kill the rest of his little pirate friends. Saemon has run off, and after I kill all of the pirates, he doesn't come back. So I go up to the docks, and another pirate attacks me, and I think, oh, well, maybe there's just a few extra pirates, like, off of this pirate ship. And then I keep walking, and then just a woman attacks me, like a civilian. And then I keep walking, and like an old man, like a fishmonger, attacks me.
Oh, I see what's happened.
So what has happened is, Deshark you were not supposed to attack. When you attack Deshark, something very, like, unusual triggered in the game, where you were, like, attacking a story-important NPC before you were supposed to. And therefore, the entire town, who was all, like, coded into a certain reputation system, right, all attacked you.
Yeah. Basically, like, the game was treating him as a non-hostile NPC. You killed him fast enough that the game did not have time to change him from non-hostile to hostile. And because of that, it was treating him like a fishmonger, right?
Exactly.
Like any random civilian. Well,
So I had to reload, because the Saemon did not come back. I could not complete this quest, right? I could not leave the island via the boat at that point.
I think it's funny that at this point, Balthazar's murdering capability is so strong.
It's defeating the game engine.
More than one time.
Yeah.
Well, that's a real humdinger of a time.
Yeah. So what about you? So when you do the fight, does Deshark eventually join in?
No.
No, okay. Well, maybe it's not even like before he turned hostile. It's just you can never attack Deshark.
No, you can. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I thought you said Saemon just now.
Yeah.
So what happened is that Deshark, they all turned hostile. I killed them very quickly. Because like we talked about in last episode, I'm a bit over-leveled, I think, for this narrative content too, just because all the second level stuff, or the chapter 2 stuff, not second level. So it was fairly easy. So I did that, and yeah, Saemon goes down into the boat, and then when you kill the shark, Saemon comes back up, and he says, "Hey, we're leaving. Blow that horn, brother." He's the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Excellent.
Yeah, and so he we do that, and then we get going. We zip on out of there. We're out of Brynlaw, never to return.
And we are met with another. It's generally like a little narrative screen, a little kind of like what do you call those things Star Wars does with the floaty text?
An intertitle.
An intertitle happens, but it's not in between chapters, right? It's just a interchapter intertitle.
Yeah,
And-
this seems like a moment where they were like,
We do not have the budget.
we were gonna 3D animate the ship stuff, but
Yeah.
sorry.
We rejoin Saemon on the boat, and Saemon says, "Oh man, there's a boat on the horizon. They're boarding us." I'm trying to do my Macho Man Randy Savage impression. Can you do a better one there?
Oh man, there's one on the horizon. Like that?
Yeah. Now, before this boat rams into you, there is a dream sequence that we may have missed, right?
That's true. I forgot about that. So before I killed Deshark, I slept for the first time since leaving Spellhold. And I had a dream sequence. Did you have the same dream sequence?
I had the same one just before killing Deshark, yeah.
Okay, well, what happened?
So you're dreaming you're back in Candlekeep in the library proper. Imoen is there. Imoen is talking, but it's definitely not Imoen, as we've already established in the Spellhold dungeon, in the Asylum dungeon. Imoen it's not like a shared dream, right? This is an inception. This is a part of your subconscious manifested by Imoen. And she's talking, and she's being especially creepy in the dream. You can say, hey, you're not really Imoen, and Imoen says, oh, I'm always a part of you, you can't escape me. And basically she gives this spiel about how, hey, having this divine something or other, this divine what's it, taken from you has left a void, and something has filled that void, and that's good. You need to embrace that thing that has filled the void, because it's real good. It's going to help you out. 3 figures appear in front of you. There is Saravok to the far left. You got Bodhi in the middle, and you have Irenicus. And Imoen turns you into the Slayer, this monster that we spontaneously transformed into our while we were confronting Bodhi in the dungeon, right? The Slayer and she does this count. If you embrace this power, your goals will be achieved as easy as 1, bam, slam Saravok, kill him with your Slayer abilities. 2, slams Bodhi, and 3, slams Irenicus. And then she says 4, you go around, kill Imoen, and then Imoen reappears and says 5, and then the Slayer dies, right? And that's the end of the dream.
It's a real humdinger of a dream.
Yeah.
And then you wake up, and then in the message bar at the bottom, it just says, you can now turn into the Slayer at will. Doesn't give you any more information about it other than that.
Did you ever turn into the Slayer?
No.
I turned into the Slayer.
For what?
I don't know, just as a part of the fight, it is objectively worse than Balthazar.
Of course, right? I don't even think it scales appropriately. I think
it doesn't, because when you turn into it, Balthazar has 240 hit points. When you turn into the Slayer, my hit points get decreased by over half. I only have 100 hit points as the Slayer.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Slayer, right, is you're giving into the ball part of your soul. You're turning into this murderous machine.
But here's, sorry to talk about the internal logic of this game. I thought that part of us was stolen away.
Well, that's the thing, is it's I think the implication here is that there is something deeper than the divine spark, right? That the connection to the Lord of Murder is such that it is not merely explainable by whatever part of you is divine. There is a horrifying void at the core of existence, and having your divine spark ripped out of you, in fact, makes you more able to embrace that.
So perhaps less of a metaphysical connection to the Lord of Murder, to Baal, than your raw hereditary connection.
Yeah, that's what I think, right? That the pooling capability, the idea that the ball spawn can kill other ball spawn and become more powerful, all of that stuff. That is somehow deeper than the divine spark part of it. Because the divine, this is what Siege of Dragonspear was about, right? And Siege of Dragonspear is developed many years later, but this is what it works on, that the +1 characteristics of a divine spark versus an ASMR spark do work. But the difference between you and what was her name? The protagonist or the antagonist of Siege of Dragonspear?
Yeah.
Her.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name, but she's the ASMR. You both have some divine-esque essence, but what distinguishes you is that you have this horrifying, negative, monstrous quality that is being attached to the Lord of Murder. And that is more important.
I wonder if it is a thing about, look, you can, when you're talking about Baal and his divine capacity, right? Then you're talking about the divine spark, the fact that he is a deity. But if you're just talking about Baal as an entity outside of being a deity, right? Outside of being a god, because we know in the Forgotten Realms, mortals can ascend to godhood, right? Just like in the Time of Troubles. If we're just talking about Baal as a unique entity outside of god or divine, right? Just a thing. And Baal taps into something primordial that either supersedes or subverts divinity. And that is the thing. That is that thing that is filling the void of the divinity.
Well, I wonder if it's just the portfolio of murder itself.
That feels more divine to me, right?
Well, I don't know,
Because
right?
once you talk about portfolio, it just feels like something a cleric chooses.
Well, no. I mean like the literal portfolio of domination over that particular realm, right? So like Cyric ascends to godhood when he picks up the portfolio of Mask, but gods can trade portfolios back and forth, and it doesn't change their godliness or make them more godly or less godly or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so I wonder if like the portfolio of murder, like as a concept, does work as much as like divinity does work, right?
No, I think I see you, and I think that kind of resonates with the ball as an entity / figure.
Yeah.
and the fact that he has taken on that portfolio. So maybe it isn't ball, and it's just the idea of pure destruction, pure
Yeah.
murder, right? Extinguishing life.
Well, we'll
No,
find out. I
lots
bet
of
all of these will be
interesting
answered.
questions.
I bet every single question that we have here will be answered 100% by the narrative of this video game.
I don't know if you're being ironic or not, but I'm okay with it.
We don't know. Who knows? Also,
Anyway, back to yeah.
we got a sword for defeating Desharik.
What kind of sword?
There's just a little sword. Saman said, "Here, you know what? Irenicus gave me a sword for my service. I'm giving you a sword for your service."
What
Same
kind of sword is it?
I didn't even look at it.
Well, why are we even talking about it, buddy?
Well, let me tell you why. Because that ship that Saman was concerned about,
Okay.
it shows up eventually. It's got a real planescape look to it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really look like a normal, like a human's boat.
Some real Spelljammer stuff.
Real Spelljammer stuff, and in fact, it doesn't even touch the water, we are told. It like floats a little bit above the water, much like a Spelljammer ship might. Mm-hmm. And these people show up, and they're called the Githyanki. Do you know anything about the Githyanki?
I know a fair amount.
Well,
They're
what do you know?
astral pirates, basically, right? That's one way to put it. Mm-hmm. Sworn enemies of the Githzerai. Mm-hmm. They're greenish. I mean, like I guess to kind of give a more crass description, they're greenish. They don't have noses, and they've got kind of a like a brown leather aesthetic that's a little piratey, and they like swords, like very like, you know, thin blades, like Wakazashi and such, right?
Yeah, they're like pirate aliens.
Pirate aliens, yeah.
That's basically it, right? So they show up and they're like, they ram right into the ship, and then they're like, hey, you've got an artifact and we want it. It's our artifact. It's our holy artifact, and you've stolen it. And then what happens?
Well, I think that Githyanki have very formidable psionic abilities. Mm-hmm. And they start directing those towards the crew, and they start wrecking them with their psionic abilities, or spells, kind of difficult to tell. And eventually they kill a few, and they say, hey, you need to hand it over. Saman starts throwing the party, so Balthazar, but I imagine he was throwing your entire party under the bus immediately, saying, hey, you can search the boat. Your artifact is definitely not here. By all means, please search these adventurers.
Make sure you search them, because I don't know them at all. That's what he said to me.
And at that point, another group of entities enter the picture. This is a real, like, Ready Player One moment in Baldur's Gate.
It's the Forgotten Realms. And then Elminster appeared. And then Drizzt Do'Urden flew down off of the
From the
winged
crow's
beast.
nest. He was there all the time.
Yep. And then a transformer. Bumblebee came on board.
Gandalf like blows a big smoke ring from the stern of the ship, and he says, "Missed me," and then he winks into the camera.
Oh, right at the camera.
Yeah,
It's like, you don't even. And then Neo is there. He says, "I am the one." He says, "Dodge this."
Githyanki.
Dodge this, the Githyanki. And then Dave Arneson is there. and then he looks at the camera and he says, I can't believe I created every single part of this. He's like the Stan Lee of this Ready Player One.
He's playing a powder monkey, Like it's just a cameo. They've got him in like powder monkey gear, even though he's not a child at all. He like looks very out of place amongst the other powder monkeys on this pirate ship. And he says, "Oh boy, howdy."
What's
It's a very short cameo. It's very much like the Stan Lee cameos, right? Just like a few seconds.
But yeah, so the people who show up, or the entities that show up, are the Sahagin. God, well, I guess we'll talk about them in just a second, but they're like
Sahwagin.
Sahwagin. And so, like, it's like humans on the left side of the ship, Githyanki on the right side of the ship, boarding, Sahagin on the north, the top side of the ship, and they all kind of meet in the middle, and then there's like a little bit of a fight that happens. Like, I'm able to like cast spells and do some fighting here.
Yeah, I'm able to fight too. And fun trivia note: you cannot kill the Githyanki captain. You can get him to 1 pip, and then the Githyanki captain continues to take damage but will not die. And I know that I dealt enough damage to kill him because I can do math, and I like did the ratio, and I was like, "There's no way that this thing has more HP than that, right?"
Yeah.
So.
Invincible Githyanki character. I mean, if you're gonna travel the plains, being invincible is like pretty big deal.
Which is a real piece, which I feel like it's probably time to talk a little bit about the Sahwagin, right? But the fact that astral, like interplanar pirates are scared by like cretinous fish pirates. Like, I understand human pirates being scared by creepy flesh-eating fish pirates. That makes sense to me, right? You're in their zone, right? You're on a ship, but you fall down. You're in their territory now, right? And I also understand human pirates being deeply afraid of interplanar pirates whose ship doesn't even touch the water and who can murder you with their mind.
Yeah. I mean, that seems scary.
Scary. It does not make sense to me that Githyanki would be intimidated at all by Sahwagin.
Yeah, because Sahwagin are they're just fish people. That's it. That's their whole deal, like murderous fish people. And I wonder, do you think they're afraid, or do you think they just have respect for them? Pirate law, interplanar pirate law.
This is like 3 different layers of pirate law. This is like what happens when 3 different factions, species even, of pirates meet, and they have to work out their differing interpretations of pirate law.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I think so this is what I think solves out. I agree. It is weird that they are intimidated by them, but ultimately that doesn't matter, right? Because the ship that we are on sinks, and then the Sahwagin just steal us, right? They kidnap us. So
Sure.
like, they kind of write the Githyanki out of the scenario anyway.
Yeah, and I will say this, right? In terms of the Sahwagin have a deity, and that deity has kind of primacy in this environ, right? So the Githyanki aren't in their home plane, and at that, they're in the prime material plane over an ocean, right?
Yeah.
So the Sahwagin have a intricate, like, religious tradition, and they probably have clerics in the mix here. And it could be that the Githyanki, given the fact that they are interdimensional, interplanar travelers, it behooves them not to piss off a deity.
Yeah, 100%.
This is me doing some real work for this game right now.
I mean, yes. That is true. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I think mostly it has to do with, like, the Githyanki get surprised. Could be anything, honestly, right?
Sure.
They might not even know what these things are. Like you were kind of operating under the assumption, and I would operate under this assumption too, that the Githyanki like know the various races of Toriel, right? But maybe they don't. Like, that could be any kind of set of creatures down there. They're fish people. They could have a Leviathan. Like, that's an interplanar thing that I would be afraid of in a general way. So I don't know. Maybe the Githyanki are just a conservative people in that way.
I mean, it pays to be conservative when your boat doesn't even touch anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You don't want to mess that thing up. You are stuck here forever if you mess that boat up.
No, it's definitely, the stakes are higher, right? Than when you're floating around on Toriel and your boat messes up, you can there's wood you can gather to repair it.
You can steal a pirate lord's boat.
You can steal a pirate lord's boat. The Gith Yankee are not going to be able to go and steal Deshark's boat to get home.
No. But so yeah, Saban Havarian teleports away. Like, straight up just teleports away.
It's revealed in a little intertitle here.
Mm-hmm. The boat shakes a bunch. It goes black. There's another little intertitle that, like, tells you, you know, basically you pass out and you wake up in a giant underground cavern full of water. Like, is kind of the pitch. And then that happens. Like, so the fade from black. There is a, like, fish people. They are yelling in fish language. It's like, like it's that kind of, like, garbled, just random letters, basically.
Murloc speak.
It's Murloc speak for sure. And then, like, one of them, like, starts casting a spell, and that person is a priestess, and she's, like, cast a spell so you can all understand each other. She's a priestess of Sakula, which is like their primary deity, and she says, "Listen," or Sakola, not Sakula. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And she says, "You are the people who were prophesied to come, like, restore balance to the Force, and I gotta take you to our king. He has a mission for you that will help fix Sahuagin culture / something."
Spoiler alert, Balthazar does bring balance to the Force.
I think I brought balance to the Force too, but it might have been in a couple of different ways. So, like, there's a lot of dialogue here to express very little. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, at the end of the day, like, these are, like, to summarize an immense amount of dialogue, I think. There are two separate priestesses of different faiths. The Sakola priestess thinks that you
are the chosen one.
Are the chosen one. There's a rebellion happening, and you can solve the rebellion.
Yeah, because there was a prophecy that the city of the Sahuagin would undergo a great tumult, a great tribulation, and that an outsider would come and right the situation and bring, you know, peace and stability back to the Sahuagin.
And the other priestess doesn't believe that. The king, the current king of the city, is a kind of like a classic Mad King kind of scenario, right? So he is he's murdering all of the, like, hatchlings. So that means there's no new Sahuagin who are being born, or, like, far fewer. He's exiling all of the people who could threaten him. So all of the strong Sahuagin are being kicked out. So, like, in the language of the game, their gene pool is weakening, and they're very much concerned with, like, social Darwinism, basically. Like, that's their whole thing. Like, you need strong people, and strong people is strong blood, and they have to breed together. It's kind of, or not kind of, it's way gross.
And was the king's... Was the king talking specifically about biologically strong, or was he just deposing anyone that could threaten him? Right?
Well, so the priestess and the her guard say it in terms of biologically strong. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which I imagine
Strong
in this
blood.
society, it may very well be. I mean, we don't really have access to the traditions of, you know, monarchy here, right? But it could be a strongman society, right? It could be like trial by combat is what gets you the crown.
It's 100% that, right? Because Sakola, that's Sakola's whole thing. Like, as a deity, is that the strong people destroy weak people and they take power. And that, like, he rewards, or they, I don't know the gender of Sakola, the deity, but they reward people who do that. So yeah, it is cultural for the Sahuagin.
Oh, interesting. So the deity itself, like the religion we've, like, had set out for us, is a specifically, how you say, like a specifically Darwinistic deity.
Yeah, like a might makes right deity. Yeah.
That's really interesting because the lizard folk have a very similar dynamic in their in their kind of religion, I suppose, right? Their Semuanya, the patron deity of the lizard folk, is just about survival and propagation. Does not care about anything else.
I mean, that's I think this is a long-form weakness in a lot of D&D lore, like across many different properties and campaign settings, that human deities, or not human, but like human-like, elf, dwarf, like all of these different species, that like they have wide pantheons of a number of different things, but then you have things like the orcs with Groomish, and then the lizard folk like you're talking about. I don't remember the goblin deity, but he has like a very long name too, and his whole thing is the exact same stuff, right? So like everyone who's like a demi-human or like a monstrous demi-human, they all have these like might makes right, conniving, chaotic kind of prime gods that just make them do the same thing. I think that's very boring.
It is. I think that we get an idea of the wide breadth of culture of like elvish kind, right? Given its pantheon, like, because it's a reflection of that diversity. I think that an apologist could argue that the species we're talking about here are, in some ways, especially goblins being a good example, right, are so marginalized that their culture can only fixate on ideals of survival and scraping by, and that is now reflected in their religious culture and tradition, in that's the only thing that they can fixate on. That does, however, make it, I mean, yeah, your criticism still stands in that, well, that's boring.
Well, but that is not... That is a, like, the culture exists and then creates the gods, which is, like, you know, a very, like, real-world religious kind of idea.
Doesn't really work in a situation where the gods are walking around.
And where they, like, had to pre-exist to create the culture, right? Like, it's not as if, like, new cultural ideas appear in goblin kind and then new gods appear. That's not really a thing. Like, it's the portfolios pre-exist them. Maglubiet is the goblin deity, Maglubiet, but yeah, right. Like, it's a different. I agree that like the analysis that you're putting forward is correct, like conceptually, but that is not how divinity works in these games.
No,
So,
yeah.
In any case, so you got to
join us every other Friday for D&D liturgical hour.
I'm a doctor of theology of the Forgotten Realms.
In the Forgotten Realms. Yeah.
So you have to prove your prowess to this king. I had to fight an Etten. Did you fight this Etten?
No, so I don't have any of the information you just gave me about like this power struggle or the king killing eggs, because when the priestess took me to the king was like, well, are you the chosen one? Is it true? And I said, I really just want to slice you open right now.
Really?
Yeah, and the king said, "Oh, got a feisty one here. Well, we'll see whether you're the chosen one. I will pitch you against a slave." And I don't know if you have been following the show, but if you have, you know Balthazar's opinion on slavery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Slavery is being a slaver or keeping slaves or in any way perpetuating that institution is just the biggest sign of weakness possible, right?
Yeah.
And Balthazar despises that kind of weakness. And also, what are you doing? You're just telling people what to do, right?
Yeah. That's slavery is in fact the definition of telling people what to do.
And so Balthazar said, "Nah, I'm gonna murder everyone in this room." And the king was like, "Well, you could certainly try." And Balthazar did try, and Balthazar murdered everyone there.
Jeez.
And then Balthazar rip-roared around this entire zone and murdered everything in it.
Just did whatever he wanted to do.
Well, this is the thing, right? Is once you kill the king, all of the rebels turn hostile, and there's no way that you'll be able to like get them not hostile, right? Because you go hostile in that chamber, and even the priestess that is opposing the king secretly, then this is only information you've just told me, goes hostile. Right? So the quest giver to give you any kind of access to the rebels is gone now.
Okay, well, what happens in the real game is that I fought an Etten, and then he said, okay, you must be good. You must be a good warrior. And then the priestess of Sekolah said, listen, this king is bad. We got to get a stronger king. There's a prince. He's the prince of the rebels. He is out and about in the world out there. You have to go to this drow compound that's made by like an evil drow wizard in the south of the city. You got to go there. You got to get the Tooth of Sokola. It opens a gate. You go outside the gate. The rebel prince will be there. He will concoct a plan, and then we will kill the king. As you point out, could have just killed the king. Could have just murdered him, and that seemed like it would solved it. But that didn't happen. So I then rolled around this whole thing. There's like a weird little sea zombie pit that has nothing in it except for sea zombies.
I was going to ask you because the way I did this, was there any story to the sea zombie lord?
Not as much as I could, not as far as I could tell.
You're the sea zombie lord now.
Yeah, based on what I've been told about this undersea cavern. I'm now the lord of the sea zombies. No, just a weird little thing. You go into the drow compound. It's trapped, of course.
So yeah, when you say drow compound, no one ever told me anything. I actually had to look up to make sure I didn't miss a cave or something, but you're just referring to like the bottom half of this area.
Yeah, where like the architecture changes. Yeah, it's just like a little like drow base, basically. And I think the idea is like it was cordoned off at some point, but then it was assaulted, and so the drow was kicked out. So it was made by like one drow sorcerer. And or wizard, whatever. And so yeah, there's like spiders there, and you fight your way through. But the idea is like there's one chest in the center of the drow compound. It's got the Tooth of Sokola that you need to like get through the rest of this little mission. So you go in there, and there's some traps and some spiders, and you kill all that. And then there's a puzzle. That two imps are guarding the chest, and they say you can do our puzzle with us, and we'll let you go. We'll let you have it if you solve the puzzle. And the puzzle is there are 5 famous big people, as they say, so 5 like above ground dwellers. They're all famous. So it's like Kelvin Blackstaff, and it's Illustrial, Dritzdorden, Illustrial, someone else that I have forgotten. And you know who the last one is?
Well, who was the last one?
It's time for the Elminster Minute.
Oh my gosh. It's back.
So there was one time when Elminster was going to Myth Dranor. Myth Dranor is like an ancient elven city of immense magic and coolitude, and he was gonna befriend a friendly little rabbit, and that rabbit, he went up to it, and it had red fur, and he tried to pet it to make it its buddy, and it crowed like a crow, and then it like hopped away on its back feet. And then after that, Elminster said he made 3 rules of the rabbit. The first one is a rabbit isn't always a rabbit. The second rule, I swear to God, I'm reading this off of a sheet of paper that is an official D&D product. Rule 2, a rabbit doesn't want to be rich. Rule 3, a rabbit doesn't always stay put. And Elminster uses those rules as a way of talking about ecology and the way that all animal kind functions. I think Elminster might not be a very good wizard. I think he might not be the smartest dude. That's the Elminster Minute.
Oh boy. Glad that's back. Back by popular demand.
Back by popular demand. People love the Elminster Minute. I keep getting people saying it's got to come back, so it did. Patreon.com.
Please compensate Kunzelman for that reading he's doing.
I had to do a lot of research to find an appropriate thing. So the idea is like each of these big people give you an item that belongs to another big person. And so like Dritzdorden's like got a like icing death or whatever. And you got to put it in a chest behind him. And Elminster's got a pipe or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's A-okay. So then like there's another dude who's here. There's a beholder who's here.
But it's a synonym for beholder.
Well, he's a spectator beholder.
Yeah.
But it means like he's not like the kind of like giant wizardly jerk that other beholders are. He's
The narcissistic, make their own image in their cave type beholder.
No, he's like just like a beholder who's got a job. He's been contracted to guard a chest for 100 years. And he's like 60 years in or something. Got 40 years left in his term of service. Did you talk to this guy?
Yeah.
He's really funny.
It's really funny. A lot of definitely some anachronistic slang.
Yes.
Hey, that is not cool,
Yeah.
right? Things like that.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just like, he's so bored.
Yeah.
He's so incredibly bored. And so he says like did you end up killing him, or did you like go through the dialogue?
So no, I went through the dialogue, but in order to solve this this problem without killing him, which I didn't even have a problem because I didn't even need that fucking fang, right? Like,
Oh, that's true.
yeah. So I was just curious. So it could be that I would have needed to know that the thing I needed was in there. But also, I think I read that you have to have someone with high wisdom talk to him. And that's not Balthazar's strong suit. So I ended up killing him. But how did you solve it without killing him?
Yeah, so I like clicked through the dialogue options, and I was like, listen, I need the thing that's in the chest. And he was like, I'm sorry, I've been told that I had to, my job is I have to guard the chest. And then I was like, well, what about the thing that's in the chest? Like, can you just guard the chest and let me have the thing inside of the chest? And he was like, well, when the drow summoned me, he was yelling, my chest. And of course he did have a sword sticking out of it. So he might not have been talking about this chest, but I'm pretty sure he was talking about this one. And he's like, well, you know what? I've been here for 60 years. I'm very curious about what's in there. So I'm not going to turn around. And as long as you don't move the chest, that's okay. And so then I like go and like open the chest and get the little fang out. And he's like, oh, how about that? And then he just wanders away. So yeah, very, very fun. I'm glad I didn't have to kill that guy.
No, I regret doing it because the item inside the chest, which the spectator beholder was very very explicit, be like, why do you even want this thing? Are you just curious? And Balthazar was curious, and the spectator beholder was telling Balthazar what to do.
Is asking people questions telling them what to do?
Well, no, saying I can't do something.
Oh, I see.
Is telling me what to do.
Guarding something is telling them what to do. Is a lock on a door telling Balthazar what to do?
Absolutely, 100%. That is pure symbol of telling me what to do, right? Because Balthazar can break the door open.
Yeah.
The lock is not keeping Balthazar out. The lock is only saying, Balthazar, don't.
Okay, well, so I got the fang. I go and I talk to the prince. He gives me a fake heart that I then give to... Yeah, this is, like, it's so unnecessarily complicated because I just take the fake heart, I give it to the king. He goes, wow, you finally killed the rebels. And then the rebels are like, attack! So I could have just gone back and killed the dude. Anyway, there's a big old fight.
In the 1 minute that the king received the heart, the king contacted all of the royal guard and said, okay, stand down. There's no threat anymore.
Yes, that is the narrative. Like, that is exactly what this game is proposing.
Good.
It seems fake. So yeah, so I go back. The prince attacks. They win because I help them win, right? I summon a bunch of fire elementals, summon a bunch of undead. I summon Mordekainen's sword, which nothing in this game can hit, and it just like wails on people without regard. I summon an invisible servant. I've gotten very powerful. I've the wizardry. I've got 3 mages on my team. And then like a priest and a druid whose AC is like -7.
Damn.
Yeah, they're both like very far down. And then Mazzy, who also is like just destroying things. So the party's pretty powerful at this point. But yeah, so we win, and then they say, all right, get the hell out of here. Here's an infinite rope. Go jump down that well into the Underdark.
Oh, I've got 2 of those.
How'd you get 2?
Well, I killed the king, and I also killed the rebel. So
they both had an infinite rope.
Yeah, they both had a magic rope, as it turns out.
But yeah, so that's what this whole like back half of chapter 4, if you choose to not use the teleporter, is about. It's about coming to the city and getting a magic rope, and then jumping down a literal hole into the Underdark.
Which I think, I'm pretty sure, right? If you took the teleporter, this is where you end up,
Yes,
right?
yeah, I think so.
What a coinky dink.
Yep. So, but here at the very end, when we jump down the hole, we get a little cutscene. What happens in that cutscene?
Well, we see Irenicus and Bodhi, and they are talking with some drow. They're talking to a matron mother, right? So a matriarch of a major house in drow culture, right? I don't know if we're aware of like which drow cavern this is, whether it's Menzoberranzan or what have you.
It is not Menzoberranzan.
Yeah, this is this would be way outside of Menzoberranzan, but Irenicus and Bodhi are talking about getting back at somebody, getting vengeance on someone, and that they're allying with the drow against these people. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it's probably elves because we know Irenicus from like the journal and from other little tidbits that they were going to Sundalesar.
Yes, Sundal Nesselar, I think.
Sundal Nesselar. And two elves are brought before them. And the matron mother says, we should just kill them. And Irenicus says, well, maybe it'll be better to interrogate them first. And the elves start saying something and use a name we're unfamiliar with. And very abruptly, Irenicus turns them into salt, basically, right? Disintegrates them. And the drow say, well, why'd you change your mind? And, Irenicus plays it off and says, actually, I thought and your advice was much wiser, matron mother. It's very interesting how deferential Irenicus is to this matron mother, right? It's really signaling how much powerful the average drow ruler is than humans. Because Irenicus shows total impunity in the face of, like, all human authority in, Faerun, basically, right?
Yeah.
But very, very, diplomatic with these drow.
Well, yeah, because they have like channeling powers and like matron mothers in particular, right? They can attack your mind. Right? And all those like innate magic abilities are pretty strong. So, I get it. Makes sense. He also might need them for something, right?
Sure.
That like he can't take by force. Also, when you're in the Underdark, Lolth, you know what I mean? She can start doing stuff against you. You don't want to incur the wrath of a god while you're trying to do something else.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good reasons, but I just think it's interesting because this is kind of just a take that we haven't necessarily seen from Irenicus before.
Absolutely.
Right?
It seems like a real ally, right? Like an ally he cares about preserving the relationship with.
Exactly.
Interesting. So when I come down into the Underdark, like I see this little cutscene, and that's the end of the cutscene too. He just disintegrates those people, and then it comes back to the party. And but Viconia pipes up, and she says, "Hey, you know what? I grew up in the Underdark. It's scary here, and it's bad, and you need to be careful because there's death around every corner." And let me tell you, this is an interesting thing because, as followers of the Twitter account might know, I am now reading like a bunch of Forgotten Realms novels. I bought a giant collection of them on eBay. And I'm reading the first Drizzt Do'Urden novel right now. And I had forgotten, because I have not read this book in 15 years probably. I did not remember that the first Drizzt Do'Urden novel opens with House Do'Urden, which is like a drow household, destroying a house above them, so to become like a top 10 house.
Yeah, the Drow Society works like the Premier League. There's relegation.
And so they, but anyway, you know what that house is named?
Ooh, what's that?
House DeVere. So it's Viconia's family.
Damn.
Yeah, and in the book it says all the children are killed, but clearly that is not true.
Interesting.
But anyway, so like that, I was reading that at the same time as playing this, and I was like, oh crap, that's Viconia in there getting murdered in that.
beautiful connections in this rich tapestry of a universe.
Truly. So I'm going to have a lot more opinions about the Underdark, I think, as we play through this little section of the Underdark. So that's going to be fun.
Excellent.
It's going to be good. Is there anything else? Any other things we want to say at the end of the episode?
I forgot to pick up the bag of holding in the asylum dungeon.
Yep, you goofed it, sir.
I missed it. I was very diligent about looking at all of the containers, but I wasn't like using spoilers or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to do it on my own, and I missed it, and that's just pretty brutal for a solo run. I think the next one's in Throne of Ball, basically, right?
I mean, you could reload a save and go back.
I would have to do the entire asylum dungeon again.
You'd have to do the Asylum dungeon, but you could skip doing the back half of Chapter 4 since you've already had the experience. So you would come right back to where you are right now.
That's true. So just, I might do it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I got anything. I don't think there's any lasting story impressions,
No,
right?
they're not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
okay, I'll consider it, but
worth thinking
it's
about.
pretty important.
Yeah. Well, this was episode 32. Like we said at the top of the episode, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and you can hit that little bell icon to get a notification every time that we post a video. There's a video every Thursday now. Some of those are Danny's rating Dark Souls videos. Some of these are Mages and Murderdads, and there should start being stuff on Tuesday as well. So we've got a lot of content coming down the pipe for the channel. You can follow us on Twitter as well as the Range Touch account on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook, and you can come on into the Discord if you want to talk about any of this stuff. And please leave comments. Comments have been really good on these videos. A lot of strong commenting over the past few weeks, and we look forward to reading those. You can also support us on Patreon. For $1 a month, you get access to a fun little newsletter that is shaping up to be quite good this month. And for $5 a month, you can listen to a little podcast that we're doing. It'll be like an hour of us talking about games and just all kinds of other stuff on the internet. And it's exclusive.
All of the opinions, all the takes too hot for Mages and Murderdads.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, with that said, thanks so much for listening. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Danny.
And this was Mages and Murderdads.
Ciao.
Alando.